Today is, if all goes as planned, double patch notes day. And first we're talking about the patch 1.04 notes for Sea of Thieves. This patch doesn't come with crazy changes, it has some good adjustments though, some fixes, and also brings a little bit of new content that's only accessible for few players in the game. If you're not up to speed with the future content plans yet, the Hungering Deep will be the next big content update coming in May. I've made a video on that and the rest of the future content plans already, so you can check that out here if you want to, and we'll jump into the rest of the patch notes. The first update is for Pirate Legends. The first legendary ship customizations have arrived at the Shipwrights shop in the legendary hideout. From here you can purchase your new Pirate Legend sails, hull and figurehead. Now the style of this is somewhat between blue and what looks to be slightly yellowish, even though half of the sails almost look like the default sails. Personally think it's an interesting style. It has a bit of tones of the Order of Souls style, though it wouldn't be my favorite selection of colors. But at least the figurehead looks really cool, being this dark unicorn with a glowing horn. Next one is sound effects. Players will now hear a new sound effect when they open a lore book and when a Merchant Alliance contract has expired. Spring cleaning. It's now easier to place chests and skulls on shelves in the captain's cabin and to drop items overboard. Especially the overboard part is important because that means you can way easier steal items from enemy ships without risking dropping into the water yourself or just dropping things on the railing instead of into the water. So that should be pretty cool, allowing you to steal things a lot more effectively. Controller remapping. We've added a push to talk to the list of actions players can rebind on a controller, also a very good feature. Fixed issues. The server migration free zone around the skeleton forts has been doubled. This is very important because it means that you can basically sail away further with your skeleton key without being migrated to another server and end up with no loot. That means that you can try to, well, outsail other galleons or fight them at a further distance or hide your key further away, and all that will not result in you losing the loot from the skeleton fort. Trading companies now inform you when you've reached the voyage purchase limit for the day. Refreshes at 6 AM in-game time. Still think that feature shouldn't even be in the game, but oh well. Fixed clipping of reward values in the wallet UI animations. Fixed text clipping in the reputation menu UI. Company icons in the voyage pop-up UI are now the correct size. Ammo box on lookout point can now be used. Skeleton crews encountered during bounty quests and skeleton forts now have correctly matching attire. Players' weapon selection from the armory should no longer reset to default after death. A notification should now trigger when a crewmate finds a reward from a message in a bottle map. Ships should no longer spawn with damage. Voyage description text have been increased in size and should now be easier to read from a distance. Filters in the equipment chest will no longer become impossible to select. Candles are no longer floating in the air on old swords at all. Lantern in the northwest part of Kraken's Fall is no longer floating above the barrels. Skeleton forts cannons can once again be manned by players without fear of an explosive demise. Appearance of water in the Legend hideout has been improved. Rain will no longer appear inside the Legend hideout tunnel. Players will now correctly take damage from gunpowder kegs whilst underwater. Multiple text bugs and NPC dialogue issues in English have been resolved. Performance improvements. Improved performance on high-resolution PCs running at lower than native resolution. The number of instances of rubberbanding and teleporting players has been reduced. I think this is very, very important because there's been a lot of that going around lately. I don't know what has happened, why there's so much rubberbanding all of a sudden, but it wasn't there before and it's there now, so it's good that that's being tackled. Increased quality of island rendering at a distance when using the spyglass on all quality settings on both platforms. This has no effect when the island is too far away to be loaded. That means we will no longer see Play-Doh islands when looking through the spyglass, which I think will definitely improve the in-game experience because it just felt really weird looking at the distance and just seeing these bad renders. Multiple server crash fixes. Further improvements and optimizations for all platforms are ongoing. Known issues. Some players cannot see their downloadable content in game. The description here is the same one as last time. If you haven't resolved that yet, go to the support article. Same with players may experience details of their pirate such as hair color, scars looking different from the initial selection. You can also issue a support ticket for that. Skeleton Fort or Bounty Quest skeleton waves sometimes spawn in the ground or cannot be found at all. Further improvements to spawning have been made in this update, and we are working to resolve the issue for all islands. For a potential workaround, please read the support article, which tells you to sail away from the island and sail back towards it once you're out of the area of the island. PC, push to talk option will reset to default disabled between sessions. This bug has been fixed and will be added in a future update. And that's it for the patch notes for patch 1.04. The bigger update obviously coming in May, so I'm expecting the next patch to also be further performance fixes and bug fixes and all that kind of stuff. And with that, thank you guys very much for watching. See you maybe tonight for the Smite patch notes, otherwise tomorrow for the next video. If you're new to the channel, feel free to click the sub button and hit the bell, it really helps me out. DukeSloth, out. What shall we do when we have no outro? What shall we do when we have no outro? What shall we do when we have no outro? Early in the morning, hooray, and up she rises, hooray, and up she rises, hooray, and up she rises early in the morning.